sacrificing who you are. Today I want to talk about mental health and something that I believe is extremely beneficial in so many ways to do or continue to do. So I'm a huge advocate for therapy, and before you go, not for me, or try to turn this into something about you, think of it more so about something for your future. And how long have you been in a situation that you might be in, and what has worked and what hasn't worked? And I like to refer back to a saying that someone told to me: you can't fix a broken brain with a broken brain, right? And I would think, well, my brain's not broken because I got this far, or I'm still this successful. I, at that point lived in 3 other countries. I built my own company. I was doing marketing strategizing in Asia, and I was still unhappy with life. And truth be told, there can be parts of somebody that are very well and very efficient, and at the same time be parts of somebody that are very broken and suffering a lot. So just because part of me isn't where I want it to be, that doesn't mean that I can't succeed and do well in other parts. That just means that in that area, I have to look at it and admit that, maybe there's a different way, and there is. So if you are someone out there and you're sitting there thinking that there are some things that you want to change about your life, or there's something you want to enjoy more in your life, or there's something you want to succeed in your life, and you're having a difficult time doing that, this might be a video for you to just listen to and see if there's something you can take from it. So there are 5 things that really, really help. And I'm going to start with the biggest one. Biggest meaning, I guess, the most commitment, the biggest thing that most people shy away from. And I'm going to go to things that you can literally start doing at home by yourself. So the biggest one I would say is having a therapist. For me, I look at it as somebody who is unbiased to my situations or to any situation, but they literally study how the mind works and why it works the way that it works. So if I have a problem with my car, I'm not going to go to a dentist, right? Even though a dentist is smart and they know a lot about teeth and what to do in that area, they more than likely don't know more than a mechanic about a car. So I'm going to go to a mechanic. If I'm having a problem within my way of thinking, anxiety, I'm hitting a milestone and I can't get past a glass ceiling, I'm going to go to a therapist. And what I find works best for me is having the same therapist, not changing, because truth be told, if someone has high reviews, a lot of reviews, they probably know what they're doing quite well. And if I don't like them, there's probably something in me that is a little off, that doesn't like them, or I'm obviously going to them because I'm having trouble getting past something, and they're going to highlight the troubles that I'm having. And if I can't get past it, it's probably something I'm either not willing to see in myself, or I just don't see in myself. And if they're highlighting those aspects of myself to me, I have to be prepared to see that I'm not perfect. Not even close. And I find a lot of times that is where people will say, I don't like therapists, I don't like that therapist. They get kind of picky with it. And the truth be told is, if they have a lot of reviews and high reviews, just ride the wave out and see where it goes. And the more they know you, the more that they can help, because there are certain events and certain things in my past that lead me to thinking and behaving in a certain way. And once my therapist got to know me truly, they see where my triggers or my behaviors are coming from, and they can more so help me to alter or change them for the future. Another thing that truly helps in any way, if I'm trying to progress in business in life, or if I'm trying to progress in my friendships in life, or if I'm trying to progress in my business network in life, or if I'm trying to progress in saving money in life, or going to school, or furthering my education, or my family, or my children, my relationship with children, or my really anything. I find that being moderately on a schedule helps a lot. If every day is just the same thing by default, I find that doesn't help. So what I mean by that is, If I go to work and then just whatever, which ends up being the same thing every day nearly, because I don't actually plan anything or do anything. I wake up, I go to work, I come home, I lull out. I wake up, I go to work, I come home, I lull out. And let's say I work a lot and I have one day off and I just chill and unwind. I don't find that is a good schedule to progress in something or an area that you're wanting to progress in. I do find, though, being on a schedule of a healthy social life, making sure that I'm healthy, enough sleep, not vegging out on TV every night, moderate exercise every now and then, seeing friends every now and then. So scheduling that in, I find, is very healthy, and it helps me progress in other areas. And here's how. So if I'm on a schedule and I have a team sport once a week, so here's my athlete friends, and if I'm on a schedule where I see my old friends from grade school once a week or once every 2 weeks or once a month on this day, then I know when I'm seeing them. And if I go on a schedule of I go to the gym Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I know when I'm going to see my gym people. And here's how this actually helps me a lot with progressing in other areas. I share what I'm working on, and I share where I'm having difficulty. So regularly having a social schedule or a social life can really help in progress in other areas of your life if they are people who you can just casually share what you're progressing in and where you're having hiccups within what you're progressing in. Because the next time they see you, they're more than likely someone out of that group or someone in one of those situations will say, hey, how is your bamboo company going? Hey, how is your Amazon sellers account going? Hey, how is your photography company going? Hey, how's the new employee you hired? Whatever it is, they're going to ask you, and you will continue to progress. And don't shy away from if you have a hiccup in it and you don't progress that week or that month, because sometimes that just happens. However, having people who you talk casually about this kind of stuff with, for me, I find it helps me stay on track to either keep progressing, or if I fell off, to pick back up and progress so that next time I see them, I can say, hey, I kind of, move forward in this a little. So, therapy. Having regular times that you see, or you have your social life, like regular social life schedule, kind of, like, you're going to see these people this day, you're going to see these people this day, and having it be something positive and progressive in your life, those people. The third thing I would say is having somebody in your family that you feel you can tell or go to with anything. That's a big thing. And if you don't have that, having a friend. And if you don't have that, an internet group. These are things I'd say are very comforting whenever something happens. Someone that you can literally, besides your therapist, if you're going to have a therapist, because you can obviously tell them anything, but someone that you know is in your life, has been in your life for a very long time, whether they've known you since birth or since a very young age, but you can go to them and you can tell them, hey, I ran into this problem and it's just really bugging me. What would you do? Or can I just tell you what's going on right now? Because I really want to do this, but I get so anxious. These are what I go through. Because I get so anxious, and it can be whatever you go through, sharing that with your family member, because having that outlet really, really almost diffuses how much it affects me, and it makes it's almost like sharing it takes its power away, because you realize that there's actually a solution. And sometimes that when I get worked up in something that just happens, or I expected it to go one way and it didn't, sharing it really helps me see that there's a bigger picture and there's another chapter. This isn't it. And I'd say that's a big thing. So having a therapist, having a regimen, a social regimen, and having one person in your family or a close friend or a Facebook group that you can go to. I have a Facebook group that I like really love. It's women manifesting, like manifesting women. And women share in there a lot about goals they have, and it can be in business, it can be in relationships, it can be that they messed up their hair and they had to cut it all off and they don't know what to do because they're going through something now, because now they're going through like an identity crisis kind of, because whatever, we can share whatever we want on there, and it's kind of anonymous because it's not people you really know, but you can talk to them and share what you want. I'm sure there are guys groups like that as well. So those three things. The fourth thing I would say is writing down my goals, writing down a plan, and writing down the outcome. And I would say this because a lot of times I've seen, and I have done, where I have a goal of I want to do this, but life, right? Life. And we lose track of the actual goal. And what happens is we get tossed around, and then we end up just being on a someone else's calendar, and we're not on our calendar. So when we don't have a set goal written out or seen somewhere for us to progress into every day to see that, what happens is we get our life becomes someone else's goal. So instead of us working for our goals, we're now working for someone else's goals. And that happens more than I want to think it does, but it happens a lot with people where they just become in a hamster race. And a good way to do that is to write it down every morning, every night if you can. I love these. I know it's backwards. It's a 369 manifestation journal. And ultimately, the power of thought is so powerful. It really is. And I'm not saying you just think it and it becomes, but if you keep a focus as to why you're doing what you're doing, what your actions are actually going to amount to, and you start to track and see how much you've done, where it's gone, what's worked effective to go towards your goal, and whether you write it out every day, that literally to write it takes probably like 30 seconds, right? You're just writing to yourself your goal, whatever your goal is. If your goal is to buy a house, buy an investment property, buy a hotel, buy a boat, maybe it's nothing with buying something. Maybe it's to learn who you are, learn what your passions are. Maybe it's to have less anxiety, learn how to meditate, develop meditation practices. Maybe it's something like to grow your hair to your waist, take care of your skin better, eat healthier for your body, become more flexible, grow your business, gain more clients, hit this much net profit every month within this company, and to learn how to multiply it into another company. Whatever your goal is, if you literally just write that goal every day, keep it simple, you will mentally refocus on that every day. And I find that is effective. And so we've got therapy, we have a schedule, a social life schedule, like a social life regimen. We have one person in your family or a close friend or a Facebook group that you can just talk to if something happens, and then writing it out. And then the last thing I would say that has made a huge difference for me, and when I first started doing this, I actually cried because I never did it prior to doing it. Like before I did it, I never did it. And the first time I did this, I was 25. It's a look in the mirror and talk to yourself. Why are you living the way you live, and why do you do the things you do? What is your reasoning? Why are you doing what you do? For who? For what? Why? Have a meaningful conversation with you. That made a big difference for me. because I started seeing how much energy I was wasting in so many areas. With certain people, with certain groups, with certain locations. And I started seeing, for me, what direction I wanted to go and how my energy, if I'm only putting 40% of my actual energy towards that, well, what am I actually doing? When it should be almost 100%, because if you break it down, and I break it down to my passion, it goes much, much deeper than just what's seen and why I do what I truly do. And I'll just say it has a lot to do with me and my connection to my higher power and connecting with my community. But why I do what I do, it's a deep conversation that you have with yourself in the mirror. And you put a lot of meaning to who you are, why you are, what you're doing, and why you're doing what you're doing. Those 5 things. If you do those 5 things, you will get closer to your goals. You will. Let's see if I can remember what they all were. 1 was to therapist. Yes. So therapy. Some people love it, some people don't. I already talked about it. If it's for you, awesome. If it's not, awesome. 2, having people you can talk to. 2 was a regimen. Having a social life regimen. 3, having someone you can talk to in your family or a friend or a social group that you can express yourself and say if you have a problem and share your emotions with somebody. 4, writing out truly what your goal is every day or as often as you can. If you can't do it every day, I'm not saying like as often as you can, do it all day, every day. I'm saying try to write it out every day. If you forget, just do it the next day. But writing it out, something happens when you just say it to yourself and you actually write it to yourself. And the 5th thing, talking to yourself in the mirror about your goals, about who you are and why you're doing what you're doing. Those 5 things, I promise, if you do them, you will get closer to your goals. If you do them consistently and you truly take steps in them. And it's not easy to do when you first start, if you've never done this type of stuff before, because it's a new way of thinking. And that doesn't mean it's hard. It just means that it's uncomfortable maybe, or just something that we're not used to doing when we haven't done it. But once you start to do it, then you see the benefit to it and you roll with it, and then you see a change in the direction of things for you, and it's almost like a river that keeps getting more water. It just becomes more and more and more, and before you know it, it's much easier flowing. So if this helped you in any way, my name's Annika. I share about how to grow your passions, how to bring to life the life you're wanting to live in a healthy way. And hit like, subscribe, leave a comment. Have an amazing, amazing day, weekend, week, month, year, life, everything. Why not?